number three overall selection in the 2023 draft, Max Clark. Now, I'm not going to be one of these people that comes on here and says they shouldn't have taken Wyatt Langford. They absolutely should have. Wyatt Langford is awesome. Like, I think what he showed in the second half of the season, like, he could just very well be on his way to being a superstar. But Max Clark is also a very good prospect in his own right. Like, I'm not trying to disparage Max Clark by any means. I think they should have gone Langford. But we're talking about Max Clark as a dynamic, like, he's got really good swing decisions. I mean, this dude is a grinder as well. All I see on social media is him in the batting cage. Is like he's working on his, like, it seems like he's looking on lifting and pulling, which will ultimately unlock a lot more like offensive profile for him. And he might actually hit that rare 5-tool ceiling if he does start to lift and pull more. That is the ultimate question I have with him. I'm okay with him sacrificing the hit tool from a 60 all the way down to a 55 if that means that we're talking about a 55 hitter with 55 power, instead of a 60 hitter with 50 power. And then he's a really good defensive center fielder. He's got a good arm. He's like one of the more dynamic athletes. Like, he is just so like well built together and well packed. Like, he played high school football and like was just awesome there. Sometimes I pull up his highlights and everything like that. So he is a really good prospect. I think that he didn't have the season that we would have hoped, but I think that Max Clark is easily the second best prospect in the system. I don't know if you view McGonigal higher than him. I know that is a conversation that other publications have had, but I view Max Clark as just having more upside than McGonigal.
I think the order here is correct. I really like Clark a lot as well. I'm going to pose this question to you really quickly because you just brought it up. Before we talk about Clark from a fantasy perspective, which obviously you guys should have probably already connected those dots yourselves. So you said if Clark goes from a 60 to a 55 hit to bump power from, call it 50 to 55, you'd be satisfied with that, right?
Yes, I would.
So what would, in your brain, what does that look like? Let's say at a pro level, if he's a 55 hit, 55 power, what does that translate to in terms of average versus home runs? Just curious.
Like a 260 to 270 hitter, especially with, like we talked about in the Royals episode, like, we need to evaluate what a 50 hitter is with the offensive
Mhm.
environment that we're in. And then in Comerica, maybe 22 to 25 home runs, but like pulling the ball, like, it seems like that seems to be an emphasis for him, is pulling the ball more and getting the ball off the ground. So if that emphasis is showing up from the cages and social media into games, then we're
Mhm.
talking about a totally different cat.
I think you might have read my mind with that because honestly, all you see from Clark, as you alluded to, is just he puts in the work. I know we talked just a minute ago about grinder, gamer, all these insert phrases here with McGonigal, but Clark wants to be the best baseball player I mean, maybe in the world. If he certainly wants himself to be as good as he could possibly be, but even better than that. Um, my point in saying that is that I think we can expect the power to creep up. Now, whether it's sacrificing any hit or not, we can't really say that for sure. But I mean, if there was a grade between 50 and 55, maybe a 52 and a half, and that's just, we're getting into really in the weeds here with talent evaluation. But I'm saying that I think Clark can develop himself just because the kid wants it and he just grinds it out. I mean, like you said, constantly videos in the cages. This guy has the speed to be a successful major league stolen base threat. I think that he's got the hit tool where he can be a ratio stabilizer. I just think that there's still a real world that we could see 25-25 out of Max Clark, and that's fantasy superstar.
Mhm.
Obviously, a top 100 prospect, probably trending even closer to top 50, and so young. Oh, he's so young. He could be even better.